Where is it? There it is. Hello, welcome back to another video. This is answering a subscriber's question. At least I hope he's a subscriber. Let's check. Kawanko21. Channels. Subscriptions. I know there I am. Thomas Moore. Okay, I'll let you off. The question from Kawanko21 is, could you do a video on how to set up a functional routine workout? Sorry if you've already done a video about it, keep up the good work. Most definitely, we can go through an example of what today's session will look like, which is a capacity workout on a Wednesday. And then what we'll do is we'll do more frequent videos because a lot falls under the umbrella of functional fitness. So we'll jump onto the whiteboard, run you through today's session, and then we'll head into the gym. Okay, functional training, functional fitness, quite a broad term. A lot falls inside that category of functional. You've got hypertrophy training, so for the vast majority of people watching this, you'll be used to some form of hypertrophy training style, stereotypical bodybuilding, top set, back offset, slightly higher rep scheme compared to that of strength. We've got strength training, capacity work, mixed modal, team and endurance. Referencing that DJ equalizer board that we spoke about in the previous episode, there may be times where these individual dials, metaphorically speaking, may increase or decrease based on the goal or objective that you've got or event. So if you've got like a cycling event in 6 weeks time, we may increase the amount of aerobic capacity work, endurance work that we're doing and pull down strength. Equally, if you've got a strongman event in 6 weeks time, we might look to increase your strength and pull down your endurance as an example. Today is Wednesday, which is work capacity day for me. I feel like the term work capacity has turned into a bit of a buzzword already, just from watching people, the bodybuilders transitioning to functional. I know you might be thinking, Tom, that's a bit rich, mate. You've only been doing this for a couple of months. But my first introduction to this style of training came from when I was at 7R a couple of years ago, watching those guys, speaking to the likes of Coach Joe. And also, now I've enrolled myself in the PFCA, Level 1 functional fitness. It's given me a bit of a better understanding of what work capacity is. So allow me to explain, and feel free to pick this apart if there's any elite functional trainers that are watching my channel. I'm open to criticism. But work capacity is essentially, let's take a training block of 6 weeks as an example. The work capacity time needs to stay consistent from week to week. Okay, what increases is the workload inside that time. Okay, we do not want to be in a position where by week 1 we do 25 minutes of work and then it decreases to 15 and then the following week it goes back up to 25. You need to be realistic with yourself and set yourself an amount of time that you can keep consistent from weeks 1 to 6, okay? The progression comes from the workload, so we can tick that box of the ability to tolerate a workload and recover from it, okay? That's essentially what work capacity is. So today, as an example, is 25 minutes of work. It could be 30, it could be 40, it could be 50 minutes of work, okay? Based on you as an individual and your fitness levels. The progressions come from either the increase in distance, so the 1K ski might turn into 1.5K skis, we could add in a few additional reps. We're not talking astronomical leaps here, but we are looking to progress the amount of work that we're doing in that time, okay? Marchon do a really nicely structured work capacity. They open up with a warm-up, you've got some specific work or skill-based work, so you may be looking to improve a certain movement as an example, and then you've got the majority of your core work. What they do quite nicely is sandwich an AMRAP between a 5-minute 1K ski or row and a 10-minute 2K ski or row. Again, programming when it comes down to work capacity can change massively, and we will do more videos in future describing the different work capacity type programming. This isn't a one-size-fits-all approach. It's a very effective and quite simple approach for beginners to potentially follow, okay? Today, we'll run through my one. We've got a warm-up, zone 3 heart rate, 70 to 80% of max heart rate, 3 by 250 meter row with 60 seconds rest. So we've got 3 sets of 250 meters, tracking on the little box in front of you on the rower, 60 seconds rest, nice warm-up, 70 to 80% of your max heart rate, bang, into some specific work. Today, we've got a 6-minute kettlebell EMOM. So this is when quite a lot of people are struggling on Instagram. People are like, what's an AMRAP, what's an EMOM? EMOM is every minute on the minute, okay? We essentially need to complete the prescribed exercises and reps within or less than a minute, okay? How many times we do that is based on the number in front of it. So 6-minute EMOM essentially means we've got 6 rounds of this 1 minute work. Okay, that's as best I can try and describe it. Today's every minute on the minute is 10 kettlebell swings, 6 lunges and 6 push press. Okay, so we need to complete that prescribed amount of work, less than a minute, to give ourselves a little breather. We don't want to get to a position whereby we finish that last push press and it's 57 seconds because we've got to get back into the kettlebell swing. If you find yourself in that position, then pull back on the amount of work that you're doing. So that 10 kettlebell swings might turn into 8 kettlebell swings. So you can get the full amount of work done, check your watch, it's 50 seconds, 10 seconds, and I'm back into it, okay? So 6 minute is essentially the amount of rounds that we're doing. We won't get into like E5 MOM, we'll get into that at a later date. But this one, 6 minute EMOM is, we've got this prescribed amount of work to be completed inside a minute 6 times. Get that skill or specific base done. And then we've got the core work here. So this is 25 minutes of work that we've got. As mentioned, from 0 minutes to 5 minutes, we've got to do a 1K ski. Again, could be a run, could be an assault bike. Programming can differentiate from person to person. Don't feel like you've got to take this as gospel. From 0 minutes to 5 minutes, you've got 1K ski. Same sort of mindset and mentality as the every minute on the minute. Try and get this work done in like 4 minutes to allow yourself a minute before we jump into the AMRAP. What is an AMRAP? As many reps or rounds as possible. Today, we're specifically working with rounds, and that round consists of 10 cycle squats, 10 dumbbell deadlift, and 10 butterfly sit-ups. That's one round. We need to complete that round as many times as possible in the prescribed amount of time, which in this case is from 5 minutes to 15 minutes. So we've essentially got 10 minutes of work here, okay? We don't want to overshoot too much here. We don't want to see this as right, let me go and do 10 cycle squats, let me do 10. We want to try and keep our heart rate as consistent as possible, okay? We do not want to go crazy out the gate straight away because we end up in quite a gnarly position. And we don't want that. We need to be very cautious of our heart rate using these things. If you feel like it's increasing too much or it's gone too high, just pull back a little bit. Focus on your breathing. Decrease the intensity of your cycle squats or dumbbell deadlift. You know, take a little bit of time. We want to try and keep your heart rate as consistent as possible during these sort of style conditioning workouts. Once that 10-minute AMRAP is done, we then go into a 2K ski. So from 15 minutes to 25 minutes, a further 10 minutes. We've got 10 minutes to complete this 2K ski, and that is your workload done, okay? So like I said, work capacity sessions can differ from this. Don't take this as gospel, and we'll come on to different styles of program within a work capacity. But what does stay consistent is the time from weeks 1 to 6 or weeks 1 to 8, however long your training block is. But we need to just be cautious and wary of increasing, progressively overloading the amount of work that you're doing in that time. So we can tick the box of work capacity. Let's get into the gym. I'll do a voiceover of today's work. Any questions you've got, again, any individuals that are watching this, any trainers that are a little bit more experienced than I am, feel free to pick that apart. I'm learning, we're all learning. Ricky Gervais.
Okay. Work time, warm up today, 3x2 50-meter row. Completely up to you what machine you use. Could use an assault bike, could use a ski erg. I just prefer the row. It's a nice movement that warms up the knees, legs, back, biceps. Pretty all-round strong movement for a warm up just before we get into some kettlebell work. So when we do choose a kettlebell, make sure that you can stay consistent with that kettlebell for the 6 minutes. If you're flagging halfway through, then you need to drop it for the next session. Cues for the kettlebell swing. We really want to try and limit knee bend here. Should only be a small degree of flexion. This will keep the kettlebell fixed in that pocket just below the groin. We don't want that kettlebell going any lower, as this will put unnecessary pressure on the lower back. So you want to imagine the sort of first portion of an RDL. That'll be our movement. Then we go into some lunges. I've got reverse lunges here. Can do these deficit if you want to bias the glutes a little more, but just holding the kettlebell in front of you, keep that fixed on your chest. And then as we go into a push press, just turn that kettlebell inside, wrap your thumbs around, and similar to when we do the dumbbell push press, small break in the knees to cushion, and then we drive and push on from that. Now we go on to the main portion of our work today. So from 0 to 5 minutes, we open up with a 1K ski. Some small cues for this. Starting point should be a tall hollow position, and then what follows is a slight delay. Bit of a lag from our Call of Duty followers. As we begin to pull down, think of driving your elbows towards the knees, crunching. So those that do rope crunches on the cable, crunching the abs and shifting the hips back. You should finish with your chest just slightly above parallel and hands around your pockets. We almost want to envisage ourselves as a coil in this bottom portion of movement, and as we release that coil, we'll spring into another pull so we can lift the heels off to drive more force into the movement. Onto our AMRAP, as many rounds as possible. Exercise number 1 is a dumbbell cycle squat. So we're elevating the heels slightly here to bias the quads. Everyone should have one of these wedges in their arsenal. You can get it from yoga studios. You can get it from pretty much anywhere. It's very cost effective. It's cheap. It's a fantastic tool to have in the locker. And equally, if you don't have this, you can use some plates. But what I'd recommend is using 2.5, so 2 smaller plates to be placed under each heel as opposed to one large one. The spherical nature of a larger plate can cause some instability with the heels. Consistency with load is very important during your 10-minute AMRAP. Okay, we don't want to be in a position whereby we decrease the amount of weight for the cycle squats or the deadlift. I noticed at the Marchon capacity, we were doing walking dumbbell lunges, and I got rid of the dumbbells halfway through and just did body weight. We don't want that. We want to stay as consistent as possible. Also, don't be shocked and think, when you start your AMRAP, God, this is light, let me up the weight, because I can guarantee you halfway, 3/4 of the way through, you will regret that decision. So stay consistent as possible. Once we've done our cycle squats into a dumbbell deadlift, and then we've got some core work. So we've got a little bit of quad bias, we've got some posterior chain, and then we finish with core. Butterfly, sit-ups, feet placed together as if you are doing a groin stretch. As we go back, the backs of the hands hit the floor, and then as the hands come up, we use our momentum to go into a sit-up. Once we've completed this AMRAP, we go back onto the ski, and we've got 10 minutes at this point to complete the 2K.
Just got my hair done. I think the geezer's taking it a bit too short. Okay, that is today's video done. It's only a short one. Someone said, asked a question about the damper on the ski erg and the row. Shoot for about 5 or 6, level 5 or 6. Coach Pat at Marchon was saying, like, in terms of efficiency, you're better off going for like a 5 or a 6 as opposed to like a 10. I know it makes sense. You think, oh, maybe I should go 10, surely if I do 10, and it doesn't, apparently. There's probably a logical explanation behind that, in terms of like force output and velocity, but 5 or 6 is the number I go, and it does feel a lot better, and you can stay more consistent. I think you can keep heart rate and intensity at a more consistent level with it on that number. And yeah, have a try, have a figure out, try it yourself. Tell me how you get on. Hope you enjoyed this video. Sorry it's a short one, but I think we'll do more frequent ones of these as an example, just to dip in and out and show you. Alright, see you later. I'm off to the Cave Hotel on Sunday. Bash. Thank you, Gunnar. That was a loud one. Much love.